Entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Brianna Prince. Our show is brought to you by the i3 Social Club. The i3 Social Club is designed to bring business people and professionals together to build your business through connecting and education. For more information, go to meetup.com/i3 Social Club, and I'll see you at our next meeting. Welcome to the Journey to Business and Entrepreneurship. My name is Brianna. This is a show where we interview businesses and entrepreneurs about their journey and path through entrepreneurship and business. And today I'm super happy because I get to have Emily Robinson and Rachel Martinez here with me today. Hi, guys.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. So first and foremost, I always want people to get an idea of who you guys are and what it is that you guys do. I know there's two of you, so we're going to have to kind of work with it.
Yeah, we're used to tag teaming.
Yeah. Awesome. So you want to just give us a brief overview?
Yeah. So my sister, Emily is my sister. First and foremost, let's start there. So we are licensed realtors, and we used to live in separate counties, but worked on a same team underneath my mom, who is also a realtor. Okay. So we kind of grew up in real estate investments, and when we got licensed, we kind of came under the support and tutoring of our mom, because she's a rock star. And so, but when I moved back to Riverside County is when we decided, hey, let's team up together. We're in a similar season of life. Mm-hmm. We have young kids, and we partnered kind of in two businesses. So we are realtors, but we also do real estate marketing. So social media, print marketing for real estate professionals, because since we're in the field, we saw that there is a huge need for it. Yeah. It's kind of some of our talent. So we launched that.
We understood what realtors are looking for when it comes to marketing. And Rachel actually did the marketing for our mom's team, and a lot of people started to take notice of that. So she saw an opportunity and went with it. And then we continued to do real estate and do our best to be rock star moms as well, because I think we'll probably dive into this a little bit later. But entrepreneurship never stops.
Yeah.
So, and your families never stop. So trying to find that balance, we decided to team up so that we could lean on one another.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. I definitely want to ask you more questions as it pertains to that, because I feel like, especially because you guys have your businesses and then you're also moms and wives, like you guys have a workload. Big workload. Yeah. Now, I kind of want to take it back a little bit, because you mentioned that your mom was in real estate or is in real estate, and that was your guys' influence. So what was it like growing up with your mom being in real estate, being an entrepreneur herself?
Yeah. I think that we saw it all. So one of the things, we'll start with the positive. The positive was that our mom was like the mom, like with the Suburban, like she was always available to like school pickup and please drive us to cheer practice, and hey, we want to bring all of our friends to church, like for our youth group. And she was always had the flexibility to be available for us for all of our fun things. Like she was so present. And
we also have a brother, so there was to that note, there was one point where Rachel was in high school, I was in middle school, my brother was in elementary school, and somehow she figured out how to
do it all.
Oh, wow.
So I think I think that was really cool. And also, I think she was kind of hesitant to get her real estate license because she didn't come from like an extensive like education. So she's like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. And so to see her confidence grow, I think was really nice in our childhood, to see her really learn how to take ownership of her own business was really cool, because I felt like my dad kind of spearheaded the real estate investments, and their tax guy was like, hey, you should get your real estate license. This will help you out financially. So my dad kind of looked to my mom like, all right, go for it. And she did. And I think that was really good. I think we also saw all the stress.
Yeah, so much so that when my mom told Rachel and I, like, oh, you girls should go and get licensed, we're like, no way. No way. Like, we've seen the people and the stories and
The nightmare escrows.
Nightmare renters too, because they did real estate investing. So we saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. But, despite our reservations, she kept saying, you girls would do really well in this field. So we finally did it. We finally went and got licensed, and she was right.
So what made you guys actually right? So what made you guys actually decide to follow in her advice as far as getting your license?
I'm going to go first.
Go ahead.
Okay. So at the time that I got licensed, my daughter was about a year old, and I started to realize, like, oh, it's not just the newborn phase where you have to make sure they're changed, fed, and that they sleep. This is a little human that needs mom to help her develop. And she talked really early on that one. She runs the house. I was commuting, and California traffic is California traffic, enough said, right? And so I felt like I would see my daughter for maybe 45 minutes a day. And I'm like, this is not okay, because my kids go to bed early, and by the time I got home with traffic, I'm like, this is just not sitting right in my soul. It's just not. So my mom kindly said, well, I've been telling you should go your real estate license. You'll have the flexibility, et cetera. Right. And so that kind of pushed me in that direction. And then I do think there's a broader story to that. The Lord really kind of peeled back those stubborn layers of my heart and just confirmed it through scripture, through sermons, through my family. It was really cool. So if we have time, I'm happy to elaborate on that story. But it took about a year of a lot of just diving deep to go ahead and do it. And the other thing that one of my big reservations with real estate is I hate taking tests. I hate it. Like,
she really does.
I really hate it. I absolutely do not like taking tests. I always did really well in school. I had like 4.2 GPA or something, but I did the extra credit assignments. Right. I did all the things to fluff, my grades. So just in case I didn't do good on a test, there was some wiggle room. You can't do that in real estate. It's pass or fail. And that's it. So
that is so funny.
I passed my test. Spoiler alert. Yeah. So that's the basics of my journey into real estate.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I can totally relate to that too, because I was a straight A student growing up, and I was in college when I got my life insurance license, and it was the hardest exam I had ever taken. I literally cried.
Yeah, I cried too.
And I was so surprised when the lady showed me my paper that I passed. I was like, I passed? Yeah. She was not the nicest lady, let's put it that way. But, I was really surprised. I'm like, if I had failed, there's no way I was going to take that test again. Yeah. Because it was very difficult.
Yeah. I remember that day, like it was yesterday, because they told me, when you go into like a test center and like, okay, you need to turn off your devices and put it in this locker. I didn't even know how to turn my iPhone off. I'm like, I never turn it off. How do you do that? So I'm sitting there, and then I'm panicking. I'm already stressed going into it. I remember thinking, like, I'm not even going to make it to my test because I can't turn my phone off. It was just,
I don't think I've heard that
before. I was a mess. And then I was just tears. They wouldn't let me open my envelope until I exited the building. I'm like, that is just so cruel, because you don't even know if you're doing a walk of victory or a walk of shame. Like, it's just, oh man.
Oh, that's a little different then.
Yeah.
And what about you, Rachel?
So I have, I guess, a similar but different story. I had gone through a series of like really big life transitions. And so I was divorced. I was a single mom. And that was such a difficult time of trying to like rebuild my life. Really, it was really like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming, but also an opportunity to go like, where do I want my life to head? Like, what do I do? I was a stay-at-home mom in my first marriage, and I was at home with my babies, and I did really appreciate that. But when all of that kind of crumbled, it was like, well, what do I do? Like, what do I do now? So I was in this sort of survival mode, like, okay, do I go back and work retail, or, should I worked at T-Mobile, I worked at Target, I worked anywhere, I did freelance photography, anything I could do to survive with my 2 babies is what I was doing. And I think that it was my mom kind of saying, hey, let's get this a little bit out of survival mode and try and see if this could work for you. And I think it was scary because when you're living a life that's commission-based, when you have a career that's commission-based, you're like, what? That does not sound stable and sturdy, and that's kind of what I was looking for. But it was sort of this idea of, like, limitless potential and having somebody say, like, you can do it. That was really important to me. And so I went for it. I basically just went out of this sort of, I mean, I guess when you're a realtor, it's always kind of survival mode. There is that sort of element to it. We always laugh, like we say, we kind of wake up unemployed, and it's like, who can we work for? Like, who wants to sell their house? And so, there is that element, but I do think it was a challenge, and it was just trying to step into something a little bit greater. And I told my mom, I said, this is not, I knew that it was not the end. Like, it wasn't really my end goal career. I had a dream, or still have a dream and a calling to open up a nonprofit for women and kids like myself that came out of a domestic violence situation. And that was my heart. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this without money. So what is going to fund this dream? And my mom was kind of like, well, real estate could fund it.
Right.
And that's what made me step into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, when going through that transition, do you feel like, because of course you were a stay-at-home mom at first, and then you went into learning about real estate. At what point were you like, you know what, I can actually do this and go full force into it?
I feel like it, I said, I feel like you did it right from the jump.
Yeah, I am, my husband would say I'm impulsive, but I think I'm just like a dive in kind of gal, you know? So for me, it's like, okay, let's do it. And I don't have very many hesitations. Like, I'm just like, okay. And that's why we balance each other, because she kind of keeps us like safe, where I'm not just like jumping off cliffs left and right, Yeah. And for me, it's like the risk, I just don't want to have any regrets of not taking the risk and having it really pay off. And I will say that in this business, it's kind of like you're up and down, and you have these moments. I think even this month, Emily and I are like, we just got to keep going. Like, you have that moment where you're like, can I do this? Maybe it feels hard right now, but let's see it out. So I think from the jump, I don't think I had any hesitations of like, oh, I could do this. But I do think that as time goes on, you have to keep reminding yourself that you can.
So when you guys actually decided to go into real estate, did you guys, at this point, you guys hadn't made the commitment to make the change to move in together, or whatever your situation
Yeah, our
is?
time block swap. We'll get into that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what it's called.
No, because she was still in a different county. And one of the things she brought up as far as a calling into real estate too, I kind of briefly explained like how these stubborn layers of, I don't know if I want to do this. We had gone to a conference before we were licensed, and it's a real estate conference. And I remember walking into the convention center, and there was this big billboard, and it says, money is good for the good it can do for others. And that has registered with me. So it's like, okay, like, yeah, sometimes it's really hard, but to her point, there is no limit. So you keep striving, and the more that you do, the more that you can give. And that is to our families, our kids, but to other people. And my dream is to, I worked at a cancer center before I became a realtor, and it was a really special job. Cancer is ugly, and there's a lot of people that need lodging as they go through these treatments. And so one day I'm going to do it. She's going to have her a shelter for women and children, and I'm going to work with investors to this is my goal, to work with investors to buy homes so that people don't have to jump through so many hoops to get lodging as they go and fight this cancer.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so I think having that foundation just from our mom and dad, we were introduced to real estate really young. We both have big hearts for other people and our families, and so we remind ourselves of that, the foundation as the going gets tough. And that's the end goal. I think circling back to your question about like when do we team up, and the time block swap.
Well, actually, I do want to have you answer that, but we do have to go on break real quick.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
we'll be right back with you guys in just a moment.
Okay.
KCAA Radio has openings for 1-hour talk shows. If you want to host a radio show, now is the time. Make KCAA your flagship station. Our rates are affordable and our services are second to none. We broadcast to a population of 5 million people. Plus, we stream and podcast on all major online audio and video systems. If you've been thinking about broadcasting a weekly radio program on real radio plus the internet, contact our CEO at 281-599-9800. 281-599-9800. You can Skype your show from your home to our Redlands, California studio where our live producers and engineers are ready to work with you personally. A radio program on KCAA is the perfect work from home avocation in these stressful times. Just type kcaaradio.com into your browser to learn more about hosting a show on the best station in the nation, or call our CEO for details, 281-599-9800.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? My name is Thomas F. Chappelle Jr., and I am one of the hosts of the Real Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA Radio. I'm here to inform you about one of my new books that are getting ready to come out on Indiegogo regarding the 50 educators of real estate. Wanted you to travel with me on this journey on this real estate space thing. A lot of people are very interested in real estate because of the programs they see on television. And a lot of people say, hey, want to be able to change my career, or, I can make a lot of money doing real estate. And these gentlemen are very well spoken on their ventures in real estate. So come with me and take a look at what we're talking about in this book to be able to help you with your dreams and your challenges and whatnot. The book will be on Indiegogo. You can get an early copy, or you can wait till the holidays and give it to that special someone. So once again,
I like this song. I can hear it.
Welcome back to the Journey to Business and Entrepreneurship. My name is Brianna. I'm here with Emily and Rachel, and they are rock star moms over here.
Yes.
But I know when we left off, you guys pretty much talked about the time block swap. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. You want to explain what that is, Emily? Or Rachel?
Either. Well, so I remember right before, I lived in Ventura County, which is like north of LA. And far. When I came back to Riverside, I remember talking to my husband, and I was like, I wish there was a way, to kind of mitigate like these like childcare, or minimize, like childcare expenses, and maybe since Emily has her kids and I have my kids, maybe we could team up and like really help each other out. And I remember talking to Emily going like, I don't know how she's going to feel with it. She's like, yes, let's do it. Like, let's do it. And I said, okay. So when we say time block swap, one of the things that happens is you become a realtor and you're like, I have so much flexibility. Mm-hmm. And then you go, I wish I just had a couple hours to make these phone calls without kids asking for freaking snacks.
Our kids are pros too.
Yeah.
Like the minute either of us are on the phone, like, and it doesn't even have to be loud. Most of the time they're loud, but they'll be in the background, like pointing to the thing that they know that they can't have. Then you're trying to talk to a client, and
and so yes, there's flexibility, but when you have little kids around your ankles, sometimes you're like, I just need to like tackle this to-do list. I just need a few hours. And so basically what we decided to do was we came up with a schedule where And luckily, this works for us because we have really similar like work ethics. We were trained by our moms, so we know like if she's writing an offer or if I'm writing an offer, like we're gonna do it with the same level of expertise and service to our clients. So we would say, okay, on Monday, Emily's watching the kids and I'm working in the office, and then on Tuesday we switch, and so on and so forth. And then, Wednesdays and Sundays are our days off. So we plan this schedule where we built in rest to it, which is also important. But these times where it's like our kids have our undivided attention, they're either with Auntie Rach or Auntie Ems, and mom or mama or whatever, and we can really focus on them. And then the other person is really focused on our clients and our, transactions and lead generation in complete peace.
And you get so much more done in a few short hours that's not
distraction free.
Distraction free. Yeah, there we go. Distraction free time. You can accomplish a lot more on a to-do list versus trying to multitask and juggle kids and phone calls.
Right. Because honestly, it's not hard to watch your kids and it's not hard to work, but it's hard to watch your kids and do work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It really is. It's hard to have that sort of split attention, and then you feel like you're failing in both areas. Like you feel like, man, my kids just watch me make phone calls all day. I put them in front of a screen. I'm horrible.
Mom guilt is a very, very real thing.
Yes. And then, same for the clients. It's like, hey, sorry, I'm with my kids. And most people are understanding, but at the same time, you kind of question like, oh, did that come off wrong? And so we provided the space for each other to be able to be our best as moms and wives and also as business women. And I think that we both kind of understand, like, we can't do it without each other.
Yeah.
We need each to lean on each other so that we can really do better in all of those different areas.
So that's good. Your kids, I assume, are probably pretty darn close because of it.
Yeah.
They spend a lot of time. How old are your kids, by the way?
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of them. There's six between us. So Emily has 2, and Levi is 2, Alina is 5. And then my kiddos, I have a 2 and a 3-year-old, and then an almost 10-year-old and 11-year-old from my first marriage. And so there's a lot. But the little ones are the ones that kind of all stay together while the big ones are in school.
Of course. Now, I want you to talk a little bit more about your guys' marketing. I know we haven't talked much on that. So what is it exactly that you guys do?
On the marketing side?
Yeah.
I'll let Rachel speak to that because she's the pioneer of that business.
Okay. So really what sort of bloomed out of the marketing that I did for my mom's team was that people started questioning in the market center, hey, who's doing your marketing? And at the time, the real estate market was bonkers.
So when was this?
This
21,
was
22.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
2021, 2022. So the marketing business didn't launch until the very beginning of this year.
Okay.
So it's relatively new. But a couple years ago, I was like, I just don't think that I have the time or the bandwidth to really dive into this. But people were pretty persistent. Say, hey, can you make this postcard for me? Or can you help me with my social media? And I'm like, yeah, maybe this one time. But, it was kind of like I guess that's probably the first, it wasn't a hesitancy. It was just a awareness of what my limitations were. But when the market kind of shifted last year, I thought, you know what, maybe now there's an opportunity to really dive into this. And one of the things that we see a lot with real estate agents, and maybe across other industries too, is that we see a lot of people with this sort of, we like to call it like copy-paste marketing, where it's very like templated.
Right.
It's like just sold in escrow, offer accepted, and it's like, okay, great.
Like
but
everyone's saying the same thing.
everything
So
looks
if you're scrolling through Instagram, you
kind of...
you have to be able to find something that makes people pause and read yours versus the next realtors
Right.
that has the same template with the same company, just
Right.
different information.
Yeah.
Right. Same headshot, same logo, same everything. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that you do need to have that sprinkled in to build some, you know,
Just a
credibility.
baseline.
Yeah, like some credibility to
Yeah.
your name. Hey, this person's hustling. They have stuff in escrow. That's great. But what we found when we started posting things together is that people want to know you. Like they want to know what you bring to the table, and everybody has different strengths and weaknesses, you know? And so for us, one of the foundational things of our road to entrepreneurship was self-awareness. Like we wanted to figure out, okay, I know that Emily's really good at this and this and this, and Rachel's really good at this, this, and this. And how can we bring that value to each other and the people that we work with? So when we sat down to do marketing, it wasn't like, well, what colors do you like? It was kind of like, okay, who are you?
And you still give a branding guide.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
yeah. We still love colors.
but I feel like it was the reverse. Like you were saying, she didn't sit down and say, well, what colors do you like? It's
Right.
who are you? And then it's like, oh, this is your personality. This is probably your colors.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? The opposite.
That's
so
interesting.
the content is still there,
Yeah.
but how you go about it, it's really we're after authentic branding.
Right. And authenticity is really one of our key core values in the marketing piece. So the market side of the business is called the Re-ID Creative. So RE, real estate, but also kind of re-identifying, right? Like re-identifying who you are, what you're about and what you bring to the table, and having that authentic sense of self in your marketing, even in this real estate industry that, you know, it's kind of countercultural. I feel like not a lot of people do it, but we really need to push in that direction because it's going to help you come and meet the clients that need you, you know, that match well with you. And that's going to make for a better client experience. And it's going to probably, you know, give you a few less gray hairs. Working with the people that kind of mesh well with what, you know, your
you provide.
personality and what you provide.
So that's pretty interesting. I mean, that's a totally different perspective. You know, I've even had a number of different people who do marketing come on this show and talk more about their business and stuff like that. But you guys have a really different approach that actually I think is better in any industry actually, rather than just real estate. But I'm curious to know a little bit more about what do you guys look for when you're having that conversation or consultation with a client. I know you want to get to know who they are, but how does that help you exactly?
For me, the number one question is motivation. Like, what are you
What's your
motivated
why?
by? What's your why? What's your motivation? What got you into this industry? And I've heard people say everything from, you know, like my kid has, you know, hospital bills that I can't afford and I'm really trying to, you know, it's like, what is the heart in it? You know, what is your why? And then I've had people say, I know this sounds maybe selfish, but I like to fly first class. And so I'm trying to keep up with a certain, you know, it's like, I like luxury stuff. Okay, great. You know, like, let's give you a luxury brand. So it's really, I think that is probably the number one thing that we look for. Like, what is your story? Kind of like what you did with us. Tell me about your background. How did you get into this industry? Because that is what connects us, is our, you know, our stories. Like, it's not just a graphic. It's like, what is the story? So anything that could help us in that storytelling process, I think, is what I look for.
And then people do take notice. It's, I think you'd ask, like, well, how does that help us doing a different approach?
Right.
Well, on the real estate side of things, because, you know, we're creating marketing for realtors, on the real estate side of things, people take notice because you are being you. You know, you see a lot of, so not necessarily fake, but not authentic, you know, on
Not vulnerable.
not vulnerable. There we go, on social media. And so whenever we go anywhere, that video that you did, or people start to talk about it. And real estate, so much of it is who you know, your sphere of influence, your SOI, as everybody talks about. And then if you end up, you know, becoming a top producing agent, people go, well, how do you do your marketing?
Right.
So then it spreads. And so there's always an avenue in which it was coming through, whether it was more transactions because people are taking notice to the marketing, or from agents, like, well, how do you do your marketing? I want to do that too.
Yeah.
Because and I do love that about the real estate industry is, people, we do masterminding all the time. So we talk about those things. So that's truly how it's helped us. It's either on the real estate side, it brings transactions, or on the marketing side, there's more people that want to do what we're doing in their own way. And we get to help them do that, which is just, either way, we get to help serve and take care of people, which is an honor.
That's awesome. I feel like because, again, like, I think that what you guys are doing is really fantastic. I have never heard anyone say that they actually want to know who you are, especially and include that as part of your marketing. But I'm curious to know, there has to be a balance on what you do share and what you don't share, right? I would assume so.
As far as like your story?
Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone's level of, what they're comfortable with is different. Like, I know some people, for like their own sense of like safety, like they don't post about their kids on social media or post their faces or things like that. And, I understand that and can like respect that. I think more than what people are comfortable with, I think some people they're not self-aware enough to know why they're doing what they're doing. It's like things become so like autopilot. So when I sit down with people, or when Emily sits down and we're like, okay, it's like, it's like, really,
I mean, I could tell.
Really think about what
though.
you're doing, you know, and maybe you're not sharing that like consistently. And maybe it doesn't, like for me, I said, it's like, I'm an open book.
Me too,
And so is Emily. So it's like, not everyone is like that. And I understand that, but maybe you process things with humor. Like I know a lot of agents and even lenders that I'm like, you're hilarious, and that's part of their personality and it's part of what helps motivate them and keep them going. So tap into that. Maybe it's not a total like
pull on your heartstrings.
Exactly. Maybe, and that's the thing that I think keeps the integrity of our business, is because I'm me and you're you,
right?
And that's okay, and we can run with that. So if you don't feel like sharing, if you don't have a sob story, so to speak, people are always like, well, I don't make people cry. I'm like, that's okay. Like,
you don't have to.
Like praise Jesus, you don't have a sob story. Like run in that lane. So it's like, but what do you have? And like I said, maybe it's humor. Maybe it's, I talked to someone who comes from a lawyer background. Okay, so your contracts, my man, like all the things, and it's like tap into that, whatever your strength is. People are fine talking about their strengths.
Of course. The weaknesses.
Do
you think that at some point you will ever branch off into more than just real estate, as far as the marketing side?
Oh, we kind of have.
No. I think that there is, I think for us, one of the things actually that I really love about working with Emily is that we are good to talk to each other and be like, what's not working? Like, how do we pivot? And sometimes I think we discovered about each other that sometimes we pivot too fast. Like we're like, no, that's not working.
So we both can be impulsive depending on what it is.
So I think we're kind of learning like, okay, no, this is a process. We're going to keep going and let it build. But I think those open conversations of like, where could this go next? And, we talked a little bit about how we time block and how we time block swap. Like we would love to create something where we could offer that to other people as sort of a system for other moms in the industry.
That would be awesome.
So we have a lot of like big ideas and big visions. So yeah, I think that there's room to definitely grow. I don't think both of us are never going to let go of our real estate license.
No.
Emily doesn't want to take that test again.
No.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I totally understand that. We actually do have to go on break again. So we'll be right back with you guys in just a moment.
KCAA KCAA Radio has openings for 1-hour talk shows. If you want to host a radio show, now is the time. Make KCAA your flagship station. Our rates are affordable and our services are second to none. We broadcast to a population of 5 million people. Plus, we stream and podcast on all major online audio and video systems. If you've been thinking about broadcasting a weekly radio program on Real Radio plus the internet, contact our CEO at 281-599-9800. 281-599-9800. You can Skype your show from your home to our Redlands, California studio where our live producers and engineers are ready to work with you personally. A radio program on KCAA is the perfect work from home avocation in these stressful times. Just type kcaaradio.com into your browser to learn more about hosting a show on the best station in the nation, or call our CEO for details, 281-599-9800.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? My name is Thomas F. Chappelle Jr., and I am one of the hosts of the Real Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA Radio. I'm here to inform you about one of my new books that are getting ready to come out on Indiegogo regarding the 50 educators of real estate. Wanted you to travel with me on this journey on this real estate space thing. A lot of people are very interested in real estate because of the programs they see on television. And a lot of people say, hey, want to be able to change my career, or, you know, I can make a lot of money doing real estate. And these gentlemen are very well spoken on their ventures in real estate. So come with me and take a look at what we're talking about in this book to be able to help you with your dreams and your challenges and whatnot. The book will be on Indiegogo. You can get an early copy, or you can wait till the holidays and give it to that special someone. So once again, this is Thomas F. Chappelle Jr., and I approve this message.
Welcome back to the Journey to Business and Entrepreneurship. My name is Brianna. This is the show where we interview businesses and entrepreneurs about their journey and path through entrepreneurship and business. And today I've had the lovely pleasure of speaking with Rachel and Emily. So I kind of want to get more into the entrepreneurial side and the mindset. Because entrepreneurship is a little bit difficult. And I love that you guys have such a great support system with each other. Mm-hmm. How do you guys manage it all? I mean, I know you're
Good question.
Even aside from the help and support with each other, I mean, how do you guys do it?
We fake it till we make it. Just kidding. No.
Well, I was gonna say, like, even when you were talking about, like, when you were going to get licensed, I remember when your husband was like, yeah, just do it. Yeah. Like, he literally was
Before
like, just do it.
I took my my real estate test. I had a 9-to-5 job, and actually that was part of my reservation in going into real estate. I'm like, why would I leave this consistent? I get paid every 2 weeks, you know. I wake up with nothing unless I go find it, and it stressed me out. But he about 3 weeks before my test date, he said, just quit your job. He's like,
wow.
Yeah, and that he is not like that.
No, he's not.
I was like, what? Because he's very, like, logical and a planner and all that. So he said, nope. I said, well, what happens if I don't pass? He said, we'll figure it out. Like, I was so stressed and just really sad. Like, I know I mentioned earlier, just not being able to be there with my family and my kids. Yeah. And so I was anxious and just, I don't know, my mental health was just all over the place. So yeah, he said, nope, it's not even worth it. Just quit your job and go take your test, and we'll hope for the best. So,
wow.
On that note, we both have had the support of our husbands going into this entrepreneurial role.
Well, there was we had time block swap, but there was also like a third
time block swap.
Like my time block swapper with my husband, who would be like, okay, you guys have to do an event together, because we do, like, people, you know, like right now, it's like our husbands are watching the kids so that we can do our thing together. And so there were, you know, okay, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, James, my husband, you're gonna watch the kids, and he held it down. I mean, we really were we're blessed to have each other, and then also husbands and family that believed in us and were like, no, go do it. Yeah. You know, there wasn't like a hesitation. So it's nice to have people around you that believe in you and your skill set. And it's like, you know, Conway, her husband, it's like, we didn't know if you were going to pass your test or not, but we all believed that you were. So it's like, yeah, you're going to get it. It's fine. Like, let's just jump in. So we need that too.
Yeah. And I think in the more like practical day-to-day, entrepreneurship it doesn't ever stop. Yeah. It really doesn't. And I will say one thing that is really challenging in real estate and being a mom is everybody wants to talk to you at bedtime, dinner time, because for anybody that works tonight, bath time, oh man, so many, bath time. The witching hour if you have a newborn, you know, so it's just, it never stops. So I think the one way that we do make it work well is we block our calendar. So we were always thinking a couple months ahead of, this is our big vision, this is our big goal, how do we work backwards? And you do have to get good at saying no. Yeah. But you're not saying no to be mean to anybody that you're saying no to. You're actually doing it because you care about them. If you say yes to everything, you know, you cannot pour from an empty cup, right? So if you want to take care of people well, you have to have a full heart to be able to do that. And so you have to get really good at saying no and blocking that time for the good of everybody. And it's hard. I love people, so it's really hard for me to say no to anybody.
Yeah. So what kind of things are you having to say no to?
So sometimes I think I'm still learning this a little bit, but sometimes in transactions, something comes up and you feel like, I have to put this fire out right now. No, you don't. Escrow's 30 days. You know, like you can sit down and have dinner with your family for an hour, and when your kids go to sleep, then you make the phone call.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Things like that. So, because if you try and do that in that moment, not only are you going to feel guilty because you know you're supposed to be eating dinner with your family, because, you know, for us, our family comes first. So your tone and your approach to putting out a fire is probably not going to go over the way you're going to be feistier, you know, versus being in the right mindset. Like, okay, I did the things, I kept my priorities, you know, and so those things kind of work in your favor. But it's hard to do in that moment when everybody's really stressed out. So just blocking that time well, being able to say, you know, no, I can't get to this at the moment, but I will call you at this time. So you say no, and then you set the expectation of when. Yeah. And most people, I've learned, actually respect that. Yeah.
And we have actually learned from women that came ahead of us in the industry that have done that to us, like in transactions. Like, you know, there's a top producing agent, and she said, I'm at dinner with my daughter right now. This can wait until the morning. And we're like, and you know interesting. And we really,
the fact that she was so honest. It wasn't, I have another appointment I'm walking into, because
realtors do that all the time.
All the time. It's like, what's
appointment to the dentist? Like, you know what I mean?
She was just very honest, and I appreciated that. But ironically enough, I saw her this week. This is why I did not go for a half hour and went for 2.5 hours, and I was explaining over the break. I saw her this week, and I had brought that up to her. I said, that really, like, kind of stopped me in my tracks, because you did that so well and with grace. And I said, and then you came back right when you said you were going to, and the transaction was really smooth. And so she told me, because her daughter was with her, she said, that's because I did this wrong for so long. She said, I missed out on vacations, and then her daughter was there to talk about it. Yeah, like, I don't want to get my real estate license for that reason, you know, kind of. I'm like, oh, girl, I get it. So she said, she can see now, because her kids are adults. She goes, you don't get that time back. So it was really encouraging to hear that, you know, sometimes you really do just have to set those firm boundaries, and it's not spiteful, it's loving.
Yeah. I think that's really, it's not like these big no's, like, no, I don't want to go to your birthday party or something like that. It's like, it's the little no's. It's the little, like, and I think Emily and I, being like women of faith too, it's like, you know what? We don't keep the world spinning. God does. In our minds, it's like, where is our trust and our faith to go, if I go to sleep right now, the world will not crumble apart because I'm not the center of it. Like, this is not just my story, my world. This is, it doesn't all fall on you. Like, you are not the end all be all to fix every problem in the universe. It's like, God has it handled, you know, like, it's going to be okay. And so I think for us, our main like word of advice would be like set clear expectations. And be very clear on what you can and cannot do and when you're going to do it. And then hold to it. Obviously hold to it, you know. But
and have someone hold you to it. You know, you need to be able to understand your limits and then communicate those limits, because accountability is really important, because this, you know, any entrepreneurial type of position, you can be sucked into it.
Yeah.
So many, time and time again, right? But I think that was a mindset shift for me in terms of being in this type of an entrepreneur role was, so the name Emily, it literally means hard worker. So for my entire life, it's like you work hard, you work hard, you work hard. And we oftentimes hear, I've been thinking a lot about this recently, we oftentimes will hear you work hard to play hard. Well, going out and playing is actually exhausting. So you work hard and then kids, you know, and with all the kids, I'm like, man, I always say, I'm like, it is no longer, because our kids are little. I think at some point in time it might not feel like this, but I'm like, we do not take vacations. We take trips to make memories. Yeah. Basically, it's exhausting. So now I'm like, my new like mantra is more, you work hard to rest hard. And you have to understand how to do that for yourself. Everybody's has a different way of resting. Yeah. What does fill you back up? You know, it depends on your personality. So that going back to that self-awareness, you have to understand how you operate and then be able to communicate that if you want to be successful. Otherwise, you'll burn out. Burnout is a very real thing in this industry.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy. You know, I think that at the end of the day, like especially when I hear you guys are talking about everything, there's just so much to learn from you guys. And I hate the fact that we're short on time. But we do have to go on a break real quick, but we'll be right back with you guys in just a moment.
Okay.
KCAA Radio has openings for 1-hour talk shows. If you want to host a radio show, now is the time. Make KCAA your flagship station. Our rates are affordable and our services are second to none. We broadcast to a population of 5 million people. Plus, we stream and podcast on all major online audio and video systems. If you've been thinking about broadcasting a weekly radio program on real radio plus the internet, contact our CEO at 281-599-9800. 281-599-9800. You can Skype your show from your home to our Redlands, California studio, where our live producers and engineers are ready to work with you personally. A radio program on KCAA is the perfect work from home avocation in these stressful times. Just type kcaaradio.com into your browser to learn more about hosting a show on the best station in the nation, or call our CEO for details, 281-599-9800.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? My name is Thomas F. Chappelle Jr., and I am one of the hosts of the Real Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA Radio. I'm here to inform you about one of my new books that are getting ready to come out on Indiegogo regarding the 50 educators of real estate. Wanted you to travel with me on this journey on this real estate space thing. A lot of people are very interested in real estate because of the programs they see on television. And a lot of people say, hey, want to be able to change my career, or, you know, I can make a lot of money doing real estate. And these gentlemen are very well spoken on their ventures in real estate. So come with me and take a look at what we're talking about in this book to be able to help you with your dreams and your challenges and whatnot. The book will be on Indiegogo. You can get an early copy, or you can wait till the holidays and give it to that special someone. So once again, this is Thomas F. Chappelle Jr., and I approve this message.
I like this intro music that it's like MJ.
Welcome back to the Journey to Business and Entrepreneurship. My name is Brianna. This is a show where we interview businesses and entrepreneurs about their journey and path through entrepreneurship and business. And today I've had the pleasure of speaking with Emily and Rachel, and it's been fun, guys. I've really enjoyed our time here.
So much fun. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, you know, we're pretty much, you know, I did, like I mentioned, I had a ton of questions that I still wanted to ask you guys, but unfortunately, I think we probably only have enough time for one big question that I like to ask everyone, which is, what's the legacy you want to leave behind? I feel like I kind of know that based off of our conversation, but I just want to.
Yeah. Okay. Gosh, when you talk about legacy, it's really about something that's bigger than yourself, right? Something that's going to outlast you. And I think that for me, you know, I went through a lot of things in my life that were so painful, right? Like that you kind of go through like these painful experiences. And to me, if the story stops there, then I feel like then that's the biggest loss, right? But if you can take your pain and turn it into purpose, if you take your pain and kind of create the ending to the story, that's where my heart's at. That's the legacy I want to leave. So we talked a little bit about our motivation for getting into this industry. And so for me, it's really about, you know, I was afforded the sort of safety net from my family to jump out of this domestic violence situation. And not everyone has that safety net. Like, not everyone has that support. Like, how lucky was I to get out of this situation and go, okay, here's some space to figure this out and to rebuild your life. Like, what do you want it to be? Not everyone is afforded that space. And so for me, that's the legacy that I want to leave, is that I want to create that safety net for other women and kids that wouldn't jump out otherwise, you know, that wouldn't jump out and take that risk and build something new. And I want to show our kids that, like, I want to show our kids that, like, hey, life is hard. And sometimes you're dealt a hand that you wouldn't have picked yourself, but you can take that and turn it into something that is bigger and better than anything you could have ever imagined. And I think, to me, it's like, that's what Jesus does. That's what Jesus does. He takes these gross things and he has purpose for them to reach more people. And that's my legacy that I'm shooting for.
That's awesome. And I'm really looking forward to you putting together that nonprofit, man. That would be
I think it's
absolutely
closer
amazing.
than we think. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Good. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And what about you, Emily?
Oh, goodness. The legacy that I want to leave. Truthfully, I think I really want, you know, I think about this. My husband thinks I'm morbid for talking about this, but I was like, at my funeral, I want this song. And he's like, oh my gosh. So every time it comes on, they're like, Emily, it's your funeral song. But I think about that, and I think about, you know, if I were to pass right now, what would people say about me? You know, if you've ever attended a funeral, you hear all these like beautiful stories. And so I think that God gives each of us a very specific set of gifts, you know, God-given gifts. And I want my kids, clients, my family to just see that I use those gifts for something so much greater than myself. I really feel like I'm just part of a greater story. That's why I love stories, because I think that everybody has their stories to tell. And so I want to be intentional about the story I feel that I'm supposed to tell, to use those gifts and run my race well, and impart those things on my kids too. I want to be able, and my husband as well, to be able to pull out those things and recognize and call out their God-given gifts so that they can use those things, their story, for a greater story. That's really what I want to be remembered by, that people would feel encouraged to pursue that.
That's awesome. I love that. Now, we're pretty much wrapping up. So where can people find you guys on social media?
So on the real estate side, it's at The Real Team Realty, Real, R-E-A-L. And then on the marketing side, it's at the Re-ID Creative. No dashes, no spaces, no underscores, just the Re-ID Creative.
It'll read.
Yeah. And please give us a follow and, you know, send us a message. We love connecting with people.
Yeah, we want to hear your story.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. I'm so glad that we had the chance, and thank you for being vulnerable, both of you. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, that's it for today. This is the Journey to Business and Entrepreneurship. I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Remember to tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m. Until then, visit us on YouTube or meetup.com/i3 Social Club. See you soon.
Legacy 1050 AM, Southern California.